With all of the trafficking that happened, whether on Epstein Island, his townhouse in Manhattan, Palm Springs, Palm Beach, or Zorro Ranch, one has to ask, did any of those girls get pregnant? And I think we now have the answer to that question. We've seen different emails about STDs, etc. But now we are starting to take a deep look into what appears to be an alleged victim's diary and talks about multiple accounts of there possibly being a baby. And honestly, it appears that there may have been multiple babies that were born during all of this trafficking. And the question that we have to ask is, what happened to those babies? Let's go ahead and get into this clip here. A lot of people are finding out about this now. I just found out about this. Survivors' diaries revealed in the Epstein files. Listen to this.
One chilling document you found gives us a window. What did you see?
Well, Holly, it was buried deep into these files, millions of files. We found the diary of a young girl. Now, inside of these files, we can see what is happening to her in real time. And I want to warn our viewers, what they are going to see in terms of the content here is incredibly disturbing.
I can't go to school like this. Those are words written by a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, pouring her heart onto the pages of her diary. The girl fills pages with trauma and poems, but also high school graduation cards, a stark contrast of a childhood interrupted by violence.
So again, clearly someone who was a child. I can't go to school like this. You hear that, Megyn Kelly?
I think the diary was one of the most striking pieces of evidence that I've come across in the probably tens of thousands of pages of the Epstein files that I've reviewed thus far. I found it incredibly disturbing.
Eliza Orlins, a career public defender who has been poring over millions of Epstein files, says this diary stands out. The dozens of diary pages made public focus on the repeated abuse the girl was enduring, including multiple pregnancies. In real time, she gives excruciating details of going through childbirth, with Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly in the room, and of her baby, born alive, being taken away.
Pause. This part is important. So according to this diary, this girl alleges that she gave birth to multiple babies. Now, what's significant about this is going back to Virginia Giuffre's book. One of the things that Virginia Giuffre said was that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein wanted her to have a baby for them. She was against it. According to Virginia Giuffre, that did not happen. The reason why Virginia Giuffre was against that is because she was afraid that that child would be, we'll say, roomed and brought into trafficking. Now, we don't know what happened to these babies. We don't know if they were put into the trafficking network. We don't know what happened to them. And the question people need to ask, these babies that were taken away, these babies that were sent wherever, where are these babies? So Virginia spoke out about this early on and said that they wanted her to have a baby for them. Crazy, man.
She asks herself, why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? Maxwell, she explains, said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes. I can't bring myself to write what happened, the girl writes in code in a separate entry. I'm beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught. She glued an image of a sonogram to the same undated page and refers to multiple pregnancies.
So that's kidnapping. So we're just adding up the charges, ladies and gentlemen. Ghislaine Maxwell, which I'm not even sure that's her, in prison right now. I'll get to that in just a second. Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't charged with nearly enough of what she should have been charged with. Neither was Jeffrey Epstein. Now we're adding kidnapping to the list. This is obviously someone who did not want their child taken away, and Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein took the baby. This also brings up another question. Who was the father? Where are these babies? Absolutely insane.
Tomorrow is the halfway ultrasound for Jeffrey. This one stuck. After they took the first baby who survived in the early miscarriage, I think it was called, I no longer feel like a person, but a vessel. Will they take this one too? In the style of teenage girls who use magazine clippings to make posters for their bedroom, this girl is gluing words to describe her abuse.
So it sounds like they used this girl as a baby factory. They used her to produce babies. It's just like, and I sit back and I look at someone like Ghislaine Maxwell and I'm like, as a woman, how can you do this to another female? What the hell is wrong with you? It's sick. But that's kidnapping, guys. And she should have been charged with that.
She was basically a sex slave. She was put through forced birth. She was put through so much trauma and horror.
The pages filled with prayers begging to be released from this torture and hell. To date, there are no known related investigations or charges.
We all should be screaming and yelling and talking about why there weren't investigations, why there weren't certain searches, why prosecutions weren't brought, why sweetheart deals were given.
And Holly, we do not know what happened to the baby or who the father technically is.
See, this is what, we don't know if those babies were trafficked. We don't know if they were some type of rituals were used with those babies. We don't know what happened to those babies. Now, we have a little bit more detail here. I want to bring this up as well, because this was in the Times too. Jeffrey Epstein had a secret child who was taken from the mother at birth. Jeffrey Epstein may have had a number of secret children. Buried in 3 million documents are references to Epstein having fathered children, including one by a teenager who alleges her daughter was taken from her minutes after birth. So I wonder if this was all a part of that eugenics conversations that we saw throughout the Epstein files, where Epstein was encouraged by others via email that he needed to spread his seed or whatever. So I wonder if that's what this was about. But you essentially had a young girl at that time, now a woman, if she's still alive, if she's still out there, who has children somewhere and she has no idea where they are. And then you got to think about something else. What does that mean for medical history? They don't know who their mom is. How do they know what their medical history is? It goes on here and it says that it talks about the diary entry here. Epstein victim claims to have given birth to a baby girl in about 2002 when she would have been 16 or 17 years old. And so you can see these are the copy of some of the pages from the diary. She has a little poem here that says, your clear eye is called Child. Your clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. I want to fill it with color and ducks, the zoo of the new, whose name you mediate. April snowdrop, Indian pipe, little, stalk without wrinkle, pull in with images, should be grand and classical. Not this troublous, wringing of hands this dark, ceiling without a star. My heart belonged to her. You can see some of the writing that she had here. The child appears to have been taken away 10 minutes after the birth. She was born. I heard her cries, the victim wrote. I saw this tiny head and body in between the doctor's hands. Jelaine said she was beautiful. Where is she? The doctor's hands. Who was the doctor? Who gave assisted with the birth of these babies? The woman wrote, I do not want to be tied to Jeffrey for the rest of my life. Playing the piano well is not a good reason to think someone has good genes or should have a baby. I am too young and he is too old. So here we go with the eugenics. Let me make this here. This plays into the eugenics a little bit here, where it looks like they were looking for certain girls that they said had good genes. The diary was shared by the woman's lawyers, Wigdor LLP, with federal prosecutors investigating Epstein and Maxwell. The woman later filed a lawsuit against Epstein associate Leon Black, the former chief executive of Apollo Global Management. Remember, we talked about him under the pseudonym Jane Doe in 2023. Leon Black was the one that also owns the Life Touch Picture Company, which is a part of Apollo Group Management. He's the one that also is mentioned in the Epstein files as being sexually violent to a 7-year-old girl. The victim alleges that he assaulted her at Epstein's house in an assault that caused her to obviously bleed there. Black denied the allegations. The case is continuing. The Times was able to confirm her real name, but has chosen to protect her identity. The paper was not able to verify the woman's claims, and if true, what happened to the newborn. It has never been publicly confirmed that Epstein had any children, and there is no mention of any offspring in a will he drew up in the years before the 2019 death in a New York prison cell. Epstein's last known girlfriend, Kanya Shulak, I think that's how you say her name, Kanya Shulak, and he stated he wanted to leave her his private island as well as 50 million and his Manhattan townhouse. In one video in the files released on Friday, which is undated, but appears to have been filmed at Epstein's New York mansion, a DNA paternity test can be seen on the table. In another email, one sent to Epstein in 2011, Sarah Ferguson, which is the ex-wife of formerly known as Prince Andrew, congratulate Epstein on the apparent birth of a child. So here's where we got to tie in other people. If you want to know if Jeffrey Epstein had children, seems like to me the people you need to talk to, because Jelaine's not talking, is Sarah Ferguson or Fergie and formerly known as Prince Andrew. Because something's going on. One message is signed off by Sarah and mentions the Duke. The sender congratulates Epstein on the apparent birth of a child. Don't know if you're still on this BBM, BlackBerry Messenger, but heard from the Duke, you have had a baby boy. So now we know it's a boy. Even though you never kept in touch, I still am here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy, Sarah. Here's that email here. Florida said, ask Lion Bill Gates. I love you guys. This was September 2011. Yeah, it says here, you have disappeared. I didn't know you were having a baby. It was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew. And that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Interesting. And that's following up from here. Don't know if you're still in this at the part where they said congratulations on the baby boy. So people keep saying, well, we don't know. We don't know. I say BS on that, right? You do know. A lot of these answers, since Ghislaine Maxwell won't talk, seem to lie with Fergie and Andrew. In an email, right? Listen to this one. An email sent to Epstein's private account leaked last year to Bloomberg. There was a suggestion that Epstein and Maxwell talked about undergoing a shared fertility procedure. Here we go here. The email to Epstein in 2007, around the time she had claimed to have left Epstein's orbit and had already been dating the technology billionaire Ted Wyatt. She instructed, your cup plus instructions are in the Oval Room. The sample has to be dropped off at 10, plus you have to fill out the forms. I would have filled them for you, but I was not sure what you wanted to put on them. Let me know if you need and want me to do anything. You know what I was thinking about when I saw this? There's a docu-series on Netflix. I think it's called The Man Who Fathered 1,000 Kids or something like that. What if Jeffrey Epstein, with all these emails where we've seen him talking about eugenics in the files, what if Jeffrey Epstein was trying to produce as many kids as possible in favor of eugenics? What if he was trying to be like that guy in Europe on the Netflix docuseries that had over 1,000 children? Because what is revealed in that docuseries is that guy's goal, and another guy who ends up joining him, their goal was to make the world more white. And then this means that Jeffrey Epstein has kids around here somewhere. Oh boy. My kind self said there are people talking about a cloning project at Zorro Ranch. Yeah, there's so many different things like in those files. And that's what it seems like. This is another operation that was allegedly happening on these different properties that Epstein owned. And like I said, now we're talking about kidnapping. What happened to these babies? Epstein confided in scientists a scheme to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his vast New Mexico ranch. This was reported in 2019. There is no evidence that it ever came to fruition. Epstein's vision reflected his long-standing fascination with what has become known as transhumanism, the science of improving the human population through technologies like genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. Critics have likened transhumanism to a modern-day version of eugenics, basically trying to make everybody like you. Epstein had based his idea for a baby ranch on accounts of the repository for germinal choice, which was to be stocked with the sperm of Nobel laureates who want to strengthen the human gene pool. Somewhere there's a mother without her kids that were stolen from her. These are not good people. You guys see why I say these rich people are not good? People were sharing it as well on X. Why is there an ultrasound in the Epstein files? Whose baby is this? Where is this child? Yeah, no, it's not AI. Where's that baby? The date here says 2011. Just things that people started to notice. Now, it says here, Yana Bogomalova in the upper left. Someone asked Grok who this person is. Grok said, Grok is AI on X for those who don't know. Grok said Yana Bogomalova is a Ukrainian woman mentioned in Jeffrey Epstein's release files. Reports indicate she and her sister Erna were recruited from Ukraine into Epstein's network around 2012, receiving training and assignments. A 2011 ultrasound video in the files shows her third trimester pregnancy, though details on the child or father remain unclear from public sources. Allegedly. Thomas Massie was on the floor again Tuesday afternoon, calling out the need to hold these people accountable. Like, guys, we really don't know how far this goes. I only know what I've seen in the files or what I've reported on in the past, what other people have come onto the show to show me, like via their research, whether it's Whitney Webb or Derek Bros, etc. I really don't know how far this goes, but it seems like to me it was a global criminal enterprise. And I believe there are multiple Jeffrey Epsteins. There's also this story about the 3 Israeli brothers that it seems like to me there are multiple Jeffrey Epsteins too. We have to get into a little bit of that. I think we'll have to get into it on Thursday. I have time. I'll go ahead and squeeze it in. But we got to talk about those brothers that are standing trial right now that were doing a similar operation to what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. Listen to what Thomas Massie said here today.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massie, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Congress created the Department of Justice. Congress funds the Department of Justice, and Congress is responsible for the oversight of the Department of Justice. When will we see justice? I'll tell you what I've not seen. I've not seen any arrests from the revelations in the Epstein files, over 3 million documents describing horrible things, describing unspeakable things, so much of it redacted. Over 24 people have resigned, CEOs, members of government worldwide, but I haven't seen any arrests or investigations here in the United States from this Department of Justice. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who has since been stripped of his royal titles due to his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, has been arrested. Peter Mandelson, who previously served as UK's ambassador to the United States, resigned in disgrace from United Kingdom's House of Lords and the Labour Party, and he's been arrested. Former Prime Minister of Norway, Torbjorn Jagland, has been charged. But we don't see any charges, arrests, or investigations in the United States. What do we see? We see our FBI director celebrating in the locker room at the Olympics overseas. It's fine to be proud of this country, but we should be proud of this country because we have a system of justice that works. And yet we do not.
Kash Patel was chugging beer with the U.S. Olympic hockey players instead of out here trying to arrest criminals that are participating in these activities. Just FYI.
Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jess Staley, accused of terrible things. It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner. Why did the FBI list him as a co-conspirator in their own documents in a child sex trafficking case, and then tell him, according to him, that they had no questions for him? Why is that? Well, the Epstein Files Transparency Act requires the DOJ and the FBI to disclose to us their internal memos and emails about how they made those decisions, whether to prosecute or not prosecute. Yet they have not delivered those memos. And we still don't have the memos and documents and emails from 2008 to explain why Jeffrey Epstein was given such a light sentence in what would have been an open and shut case of child sex trafficking, which allowed him to go back and recommit these terrible crimes, create hundreds of more victims, and ensnare so many other people in his conspiracy. Where are those documents that describe those decisions? We need justice. We want the Department of Justice to get to work, and that's what they need to do now.
Yeah, a number of arrests that have happened in Europe. I feel like there's a new one every day, but not here, of course, in the United States. We're actually I'm gonna pull up this picture here of those brothers, because remember a couple of days ago, I told you guys there's multiple Epsteins. So let me go to the three brothers. They're Israeli brothers. Here we go. I knew the Cradle would have it right on the money. Shout out to the Cradle. High profile Israeli American brothers face trial for sex trafficking in the United States. This here. This is the picture of them here. They're three brothers. Two of them are twins. And so this isn't getting a lot of attention like it should, but it seems like to me this is a similar Epstein operation. Three Israeli American brothers, twins, Alan and Oren, and their older brother, Tal Alexander, are on trial. In the United States, they are accused of running a sex trafficking and sexual assault network. Sound familiar? Originally from Israel, the Alexanders built a high-profile career in luxury real estate, serving wealthy clients and celebrities, but prosecutors allege they use parties, drugs, and coercion to assault women, with each brother accused of assaulting women, at least 10 victims. Court testimony has included accounts from women lured to parties, drugged with substances such as ketamine, Xanax, Ambien, and GHB, and assaulted. Several civil suits have also been filed, including one by Kate Whiteman, who claimed she was attacked in the Hamptons in 2012. She later died in Australia under circumstances deemed non-suspicious. Sound familiar? That reminds me of Virginia Giuffre. It goes on here, and it says, text messages presented in court suggest the brothers coordinated drug use to incapacitate women. Outside court last week, their father, Shlomi Alexander, who immigrated from Israel to the U.S. to start a successful security company before branching into Miami real estate, claimed the cases had begun with a $35 million effort to extort him. The defense argues the allegations are part of this extortion attempt and describes the brothers' behavior as consensual dating rather than trafficking. The trial is ongoing, with prosecutors emphasizing coordinated assaults and drug use. Those are the brothers. And this is, we all know Epstein was using substances on people as well. This person's remembering what happened with the guy that was in Vegas who just fled back to Israel. I mean, this is why I say, and I'll go back to this one here. This is why I say, again, there are multiple Epsteins. And then, of course, Onka is talking about it as well. Now, again, I just want you guys to imagine if all three of these guys imagine if they were Palestinian. Imagine if they were Muslims. Imagine if they were Black. Imagine if, you see what I'm saying? And from what I understand about these brothers, this was going on for years. Very similar to this Epstein operation. So there could be multiple Epsteins. There's another one here.
With ties to Miami Beach and New York arrested for their involvement in a sex trafficking scheme that dates back over a decade.
The Alexander brothers now facing federal charges, authorities calling them serial sexual predators.
And Local 10's Christian De La Rosa live now in Miami Beach with more on what we're learning tonight. Christian.
Well, we know that they own multiple luxury properties like this one on Pine Tree Drive right here in the Miami Beach area. We also know that they've been facing these type of allegations for months now. And so far, they've reportedly denied any wrongdoing. Tonight, though, they're in jail. Power, prestige, celebrity, and money is what authorities in South Florida and New York say the Alexander brothers used to lure women and sexually assault them. The siblings, known for their ties to very high-end real estate, Maybe
I have to jump ahead. Twitter does this sometimes. I'm sorry, guys. Let me try it again. And I have to go back to it again. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened to it now. And now it's gone. I'm sorry, guys. I'm usually more organized than this. I think I have to go back to that very top one. It was the cradle. Maybe it was this one. I did show this one. I hate that. I refreshed and now it's gone. Well, you guys get the point. But someone shared the data set too. They said that Allen showed up in Epstein file search, but the documents have been removed. So this was another one. Alan Alexander, data set 9. Tall Alexander, Oren Alexander. See how their names did show up in the files? And they've gone in and they've removed, some of these files as well. That's the other thing about this is like some of the things that we showed you guys early on are now like gone. And of course, that is intentional. I don't know what happened to the video, but anyway, you guys get the gist of it. But The Guardian is also reporting on this. I was so scared. U.S. trial witnesses allege Alexander brothers worked together to sexually assault women. So this is another one we'll have to look into as that trial continues to go on. But it's wild. It's wild, you guys. That's why I say I think there are several other Epsteins. And we talk about teaching an old dog like new tricks or whatever. Like it seemed like with the Epstein situation that they were willing to try some of any and everything to preserve his likeness, even if that meant producing babies with his DNA or trying to see if there's ways that he could live longer. Like all those conversations in there that he had with people like Bill Gates, etc. Like it's really creepy, really creepy. But somewhere out there are those babies. Someone mentioned it here. Kelly said, if the baby in that ultrasound were in utero in 2011, it would be 14, 15 years old in 2026. Are they out there being trafficked right now? It's a good question. Something to think about, ladies and gents. Something to think about. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.